Okay, so for today's exercise, we're going to look at developing or enhancing footwear impressions in blood. So the concept behind this is, if you remember from the lecture when we talked about the differences between a locator versus an enhancer. Locator being primarily where you're not sure where the blood is, so you're trying to at least find where those visible or latent traces of the blood are. In this case here, this is an enhancement technique that we're going to use today. So whether it is already visible blood that's there, a combination of latent and patent blood, and we're simply trying to enhance what residue of blood might be there. So obviously, if you have a fully developed impression, it may not require any development or enhancement at all. But it's for that minute amount where there's a residue of blood that's there. You just can't see it under normal lighting conditions, and that's the benefit of using these particular enhancers. So the one that we're going to start off with here today is called Hungarian Red, and you can see by the color of the stained Pyrex dish here, that vibrant pink purple color that it will stain the blood to that particular color. Now we're going to start off. We have some sheep's blood here that comes from the federal government. No sheep have been harmed in the collection of this. It's done under humane conditions and it's just free of any pathogens that might exist. So we're going to use this particular blood for our demonstration. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of the blood in this tray here. And because of the size of the tray, what we're going to use is this beach sandal here, but because the sandals won't fit directly into the tray, we use some paper toweling, saturate the paper towel with the blood, and then we're going to just wipe the blood onto the tread of the shoe to create our blood impression. So I'll just set that aside. And I'm going to take the tile that we're going to put the impression on. It's going to take it to a harder surface here that will make the impression more visible. So simply just put it down, a little pressure on there just to try to create the impression. Now maybe I'll put another one here next to it. A bit more pressure on there. You can see some detail there. So we have these two partially visible impressions. Now, ideally, you would want to be processing it with the blood enhancers when the blood is completely dry. So you can simply, oftentimes when you attend a crime scene, the blood's already had a chance to completely coagulate and dry. Other times, if there is still wet blood that's at the scene, you can use a hair dryer and just warm it up slightly to assist with accelerate the drying process. But for our purposes here, we're just going to go ahead and do it the way we have it displayed now. So we're just going to allow this to maybe sit for a few moments just to allow that puddling effect of the blood that's on there to maybe try and coagulate or maybe partially dry before we go ahead and spray it. Now we have a setup here. We're going to be moving the tile with the blood impression into our venting cabinet here. We're going to put it on basically a vertical plane, and then we're going to spray the Hungarian Red, which is in this spray bottle here, and allow it to completely saturate cover the entire surface of the tile. We'll allow it to sit for several seconds, and then we're going to rinse it off using just distilled water. So we'll just wait for a moment here while we're waiting for this to dry off a little bit. Okay, so we've let this sit for several minutes here, so we're just going to set this up in our drip tray and position it like that, and we're going to go ahead and spray it. Just let that sit for a few seconds here. Now, ideally, we would like to see some additional development of the lighter areas of the blood to show more detail. It's obviously, when we get a heavier concentration of blood, it just makes it worse instead of improving it. Just rinsing it now with some distilled water. So we can see a lot more development, especially on that second print that we put there. See the enhancement there, especially in this area up here. Very strong enhancement. Likewise down here. This is what I was referring to, that it detracts from when there's actually puddling of blood there. The pooling of blood was in such great concentration that it doesn't, there's no benefit to the spray on that. It's the more faint areas where you're going to see much more improvement.